One appearance, one stage, one decision that shattered a 15-year legacy. Nicki Minaj just walked onto a platform that has her entire fan base questioning everything they thought they knew about her. And the footage? It's not what you think. What happened in Phoenix didn't just spark controversy. It revealed something that's been building for months that nobody was paying attention to. Fans are deleting tattoos. Pride anthems are being removed from playlists. And the LGBTQ plus community that once defended her like family, they're not angry anymore. They're grieving. And that's so much worse. But here's what nobody's talking about. This wasn't random. When you connect the dots, and trust me, you'll see a pattern that makes this whole thing look completely different. There's a reason she chose this moment, a reason she chose this platform. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why her silence right now is the loudest statement she could possibly make. Stay with me because what I'm about to show you changes everything. Before we dive in, if you're new to Stars Tube, hit that subscribe button right now. We break down the biggest celebrity stories with a depth and analysis you won't find anywhere else. Trust me, you're going to want to be subscribed for what's coming next in this story. All right, let's get into it. What actually went down and why everyone missed the real story. December 21st, 2025, Phoenix, Arizona. Turning Point USA's America Fest conference. Thousands of attendees. Cameras everywhere. And then, Nicki Minaj walks on stage. Not as a protester, not as an outsider, as a featured guest. Let me paint the picture for you, because the footage tells a story that's way more complex than the headline suggests. She's not uncomfortable. She's not stiff. She's engaged. Sitting across from Erica Kirk, widow of Charlie Kirk and CEO of Turning Point USA. And conversation? It goes places nobody expected. She talked about Trump and J.D. Vance as amazing role models. She said conservatives are the cool kids now. She makes statements about gender identity that directly contradict positions she's held for over a decade. And then, and this is the part that sent shockwaves, she brings up Gavin Newsom and California's trans youth healthcare policies with a level of specificity that tells you this isn't off the cuff. This is prepared. But here's what's wild. The controversy isn't really about what she said. It's about where she said it and what it represents. Because Turning Point USA isn't just some random conference. This is the organization that's been at the forefront of conservative youth recruitment. They've been systematically targeting cultural spaces, music, sports, entertainment, and pulling influential figures into their orbit. And Nicki? She just became their biggest win in hip-hop, maybe ever. Now, the internet immediately exploded. She sold out. She betrayed us. This is the end. But that reaction? It's missing the forest for the trees. Because if you actually look at what's been happening over the past 6 months, this wasn't sudden at all. And that's where the story gets really interesting. The clues were there all along. We just weren't looking. Let's rewind. November 2024. Most people weren't paying attention, but Nicki Minaj spoke at the United Nations. Not about music, not about her career, about Christian persecution in Nigeria. Now, on the surface, that's a humanitarian issue. Christians in northern Nigeria have faced horrific violence from extremist groups. Villages burned, families displaced. It's a legitimate crisis. And Minaj, who has Nigerian heritage through her father, has family connections to this issue. But here's what's interesting. The Trump administration made Nigeria a country of particular concern for religious freedom violations. And Minaj publicly thanked him for it. That was the first breadcrumb. Then in early December, she gets into a very public back and forth with California Governor Gavin Newsom. Not about music industry stuff. About trans healthcare policies for minors. She's tweeting. He's responding. And the language she's using? It's aligning with conservative talking points almost word for word. Fans noticed but dismissed it as Nicki being Nicki. Controversial, boundary pushing, willing to say what others won't. They gave her the benefit of the doubt because that's what fans do. That's what 15 years of loyalty buys you. But then December 21st happens, and suddenly all those breadcrumbs form a trail that leads to the stage in Phoenix, where she's calling Trump an amazing role model. The cognitive dissonance is staggering, because we're talking about the same Nicki Minaj who, in 2016, was vocally critical of Trump-era politics. The same artist who performed at Pride events. The same person who shouted out her gay fans in interviews and positioned herself as a safe space. So what changed? That's the question everyone's asking. And the answer? It's way more layered than you think. The 3 theories and why they might all be true. When something this shocking happens, people immediately jump to explanations. And right now, there are three dominant theories circulating. And here's the thing, they're not mutually exclusive. Theory 1, the protection play. Let's talk about Kenneth Petty, Nicki's husband, registered sex offender, federal probation, travel restrictions. This isn't gossip. This is public record. And when you're married to someone with that level of legal scrutiny, you start looking for allies in powerful places. Conservative political circles have connections that can make problems, let's say, more manageable. They have access to legal resources, political influence, and networks that can navigate federal systems. That kind of access doesn't come free. It comes with expectations. Now, I'm not saying there's some explicit quid pro quo here, but I am saying that when you're in a vulnerable position legally, you start making calculations you wouldn't otherwise make. You start asking yourself, who can help us? And what would they want in return? Add to this Minaj's own immigration status. She stated publicly that she's not a U.S. citizen, that she came to America illegally at age 5. In today's political climate, that's a vulnerability. And if you're worried about deportation, either for yourself or family members, you're going to look for protection wherever you can find it. Theory 2, the relevance gambit. Let's be honest about something uncomfortable. Nicki's commercial dominance has been slipping. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Tours are shorter. Streaming numbers have plateaued. Festival bookings aren't what they used to be. Meanwhile, younger artists are eating into her market share. Cardi B, we'll get to her in a minute, is securing major brand deals and maintaining cultural relevance in ways that must sting. Ice Spice, Sexy Red, Megan Thee Stallion. There's a new generation taking up space. When you've lived at the top for that long, watching the empire slow down hits different. And here's an uncomfortable truth about the entertainment industry. Controversy keeps you relevant. Negative attention is still attention, and attention is still currency. So here's the question. Did Nicki make a calculated decision that aligning with conservative movements would generate the headlines she needs to stay in the conversation? Even if it means alienating her core fan base. Does she believe she can build a new one? It's been done before. Kanye was essentially torched his original fan base and attempted to build something new. It didn't work long-term for him, but the strategy exists. Theory 3, the genuine shift. And then there's the possibility nobody wants to consider. What if she actually changed her mind? People evolve politically. It happens. Sometimes life experiences, becoming a parent, marriage, financial success, personal trauma, can shift your worldview. Maybe Minaj genuinely started questioning progressive positions on gender identity. Maybe her religious beliefs deepened in ways that put her at odds with LGBTQ+ advocacy. Maybe she looked at conservative movements and saw something that resonated. The problem with this theory is that it requires us to believe that someone who spent 15 years positioning herself as an ally had such a fundamental shift that she's now comfortable on stage with organizations that actively oppose LGBTQ+ rights. That's not evolution. That's inversion. But here's the twist. All three theories could be operating simultaneously. She could be seeking protection, chasing relevance, and experiencing a genuine ideological shift. Human motivation is rarely singular. We're complicated. We contain multitudes. And sometimes those multitudes contradict each other. The part that actually breaks hearts and why this is different. Now let's talk about what makes this situation different from typical celebrity controversies. Because this isn't about a bad tweet or a problematic lyric. This is about identity rupture. For LGBTQ+ fans, particularly queer fans of color, Nicki Minaj wasn't just entertainment. Let me say that again. She wasn't just entertainment. Her music was armor. Her boldness was permission. Her success was proof that you could be unapologetic and still win. When you're a young queer kid feeling invisible, and you hear Nicki rapping with that level of confidence and swagger, something clicks. You feel seen. You feel possible. And when she shouts out her gay fans in interviews, when she performs at Pride, when she makes it clear that you're welcome in her world, that's not marketing. That's sanctuary. So when that person, the one who made you feel visible, appears on stage with people who actively work against your rights, that's not disappointing. That's not frustrating. That's devastating. And here's what makes it worse. The silence. Because if she came out and said, look, my views have changed and here's why, at least there'd be something to process, something to debate, something to understand. even if you disagree. But radio silence? That reads as abandonment. It reads as, I got what I needed from you, and now I'm moving on. TikTok and Twitter are filled with videos of fans in tears. Not performative crying. Real grief. People talking about removing tattoos of her lyrics. Deleting playlists that got them through depression. Unframing concert posters that used to be sacred. One video that went viral shows a queer black fan saying, I defended this woman through everything, every scandal, every controversy, every messy moment. And this is how she repays that loyalty? By standing with people who think I shouldn't exist. That's not cancel culture. That's heartbreak. The Cardi B subplot and why the timing is suspicious. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Cardi B. For years, the Nicki-Cardi rivalry has been framed as petty beef. Two female rappers fighting over chart positions and industry dominance. But what if there's more to it? Here's what's interesting. Over the past year, Cardi has been very quiet about Nicki. No subliminals. No responses to shade. Just distance. Strategic, deliberate distance. And now in hindsight, that distance looks prophetic. Fans are pointing to a clip from October 2024 where Cardi was asked about the state of female rap, and she said something that seemed random at the time. I just focus on my own energy. I don't worry about what others are doing or where they're going. The interviewer pressed her about Nicki specifically, and Cardi shut down fast. Next question. At the time, people thought she was being dismissive. But what if she knew something was coming? What if people in the industry were seeing the signs and quietly stepping back before the explosion? There's no concrete evidence of this. But the timing, the fact that Cardi removed herself from a narrative months before it imploded, that's either incredible luck or incredible foresight. And here's what makes it even more interesting. Cardi's brand partnerships have only gotten stronger. She's more commercially dominant than ever. Meanwhile, Nicki is dealing with brand deals quietly being put on hold and streaming numbers reportedly dipping. Is there a connection? Or is this just coincidence? The internet loves a conspiracy, and this one has legs. Okay, real quick. If you're still watching and this analysis is hitting different, do me a favor. Subscribe to Stars Tube and drop a like on this video. We're covering every twist in this story as it develops, and you do not want to miss what drops next. Seriously, the next 48 hours could change everything. Now, back to the investigation. What the leaked DMs allegedly reveal and why verification doesn't matter anymore. Now, we're getting into murky territory, but it's important to address because it's driving the narrative whether it's real or not. Screenshots have been circulating allegedly showing DMs between members of Nicki's team and event organizers. The language is very corporate, very strategic, expanding the demographic, strategic repositioning, accessing new markets. Are these real? No idea. Could they be fabricated? Absolutely. Does it matter? Not anymore. Because here's the thing about the internet in 2025. Perception becomes reality faster than fact-checking can catch up. Once those screenshots hit Twitter and TikTok, they got millions of impressions. People screenshot them, added commentary, created reaction videos. And now, true or not, they're part of the story. This is the danger of the silent strategy. When you don't control the narrative, other people fill in the blanks, and they fill them in with whatever makes the most sense to them. Sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not, but it becomes true enough that it shapes public opinion. The same thing is happening with the alleged audio analysis. Fans claim they can hear Nicki's voice and background audio from the Turning Point event, allegedly agreeing with anti-trans statements. They're running audio through software, comparing vocal patterns, claiming 73% similarity matches. Is this scientifically valid? Probably not. Is it fueling the fire? Absolutely. Body language experts are analyzing her posture on stage. She's comfortable. She's engaged. Look at the micro-expressions. Relationship psychologists are weighing in on what her silence means for her marriage. Political analysts are debating whether this is opportunism or genuine belief. And through it all, Nicki says nothing. Her team says nothing. Her publicist says nothing. Just silence. The business fallout and why this matters beyond culture. Let's talk numbers because this isn't just a cultural moment. This is a business crisis. Within 48 hours of the Phoenix appearance, streaming numbers for Nicki's top songs reportedly dropped by 12%. Not catastrophic, but significant. Playlist ads slowed. Radio play decreased in major markets. 3 brands that had partnerships with her allegedly put their campaigns on hold pending further review. That's corporate speak for we're backing away slowly and hoping nobody notices. Concert promoters are reportedly nervous about upcoming dates. Will fans show up? Will there be protests? Will venues even want to host given the controversy? And here's the thing about brand partnerships and endorsements. They're built on trust and alignment. Brands pay celebrities not just for reach, but for the values they represent. When those values suddenly shift or appear to shift, brands get nervous because associating with controversy can damage their reputation. This is why so many celebrities hire crisis PR teams the second something goes wrong. You control the narrative, you frame the story, you get ahead of the damage. But Nicki, she deactivated Instagram and went dark. That's either a genius move that we won't understand until later, or it's a catastrophic miscalculation. The 3 paths forward, and why none of them are easy. So where does this leave us? Nicki Minaj is standing at a crossroads, and every path forward is complicated. Path 1, the redemption arc. She could come out with a comprehensive statement, go on Instagram Live, sit down for an interview, explain her positions, acknowledge the hurt, attempt to rebuild trust. But here's the problem. After weeks of silence, can any statement feel genuine? Fans will scrutinize every word. They'll question the timing. Why now? Why not immediately? And anything short of full reversal will feel insufficient to those who are hurt. Redemption arcs only work when people believe you're sincere. And sincerity is very hard to sell when you've been strategically silent for weeks. Path 2, the full pivot. She can lean all the way in, embrace the conservative alignment, build a new fan base, become the hip-hop ambassador for right-wing movements. It's risky, but there's a playbook for it. She could position herself as the artist willing to tell the truth that others won't. She could frame her old fan base as woke mob that can't handle different opinions. She could become a conservative icon. But here's the challenge. Hip-hop has always been rooted in social justice resistance and speaking truth to power. Can you succeed in hip-hop while aligning with movements that oppose those values? History suggests it's very difficult. Path 3, strategic silence. Continue the current approach. Say nothing. Let the controversy blow over. Hope that fans eventually come back because they miss the music. This is the riskiest path because every day of silence allows others to control the narrative. The internet is writing her story without her input, and that story is not kind. But maybe, just maybe, she's betting that cultural memory is short. That people will forget. That when she drops new music, everyone will move on. The problem? This isn't a typical scandal. This is about values. And values don't just blow over. What this means for everyone watching. Here's why this matters beyond just Nicki Minaj. We're watching the evolution of parasocial relationships play out in real time. In 2025, fans don't just support your art, they co-sign your identity. When you build a brand on being an ally, you can't walk away from that without consequences. This situation is forcing a conversation about celebrity responsibility. When you cultivate a fan base by positioning yourself as a safe space, do you have an obligation to maintain that? Or can artists evolve even if it means losing their core audience? It's also exposing how conservative movements are strategically recruiting cultural figures to shift narratives. They know that cultural influence matters, and they're willing to offer access, protection, and platforms to get it. But the biggest takeaway is this. Trust is a foundation of parasocial relationships. And once it breaks at this scale, it's almost impossible to rebuild. The unanswered questions and why they keep me up at night. As we close this out, I want to leave you with the questions I keep coming back to. Is this political evolution or strategic positioning? Did Nicki genuinely shift her beliefs, or is this a calculated move for protection and relevance? Can you separate the art from the artist? If her music means something to you, does her political alignment change that? Should it? What happens to legacy? In 20 years, how will we remember Nicki Minaj? As a pioneering female rapper who changed the game, or as the artist who betrayed her most loyal fans? Where's the line? At what point does celebrity activism become transactional? And how do we know when someone is genuinely an ally versus using communities for clout? Can she recover? Kanye tried to pivot and struggled. Can Nicki succeed where he didn't? Or is this the beginning of a permanent decline? I don't have the answers. Nobody does yet, because this story is still unfolding. What happens next will shock you. Here's what I'm watching for in the coming weeks. Reports suggest Nicki may be preparing some kind of statement. Whether that's a full interview, a social media post, or a song addressing the controversy, nobody knows. But sources close to her team say something is coming. Meanwhile, there are whispers of a documentary crew that was filming during the Phoenix event. If that footage goes public, it could either vindicate her or make things exponentially worse. And then there's the music. Nicki's next album drop will be the ultimate test. Will fans show up? Will streaming numbers reflect the controversy? Or will everyone move on the second new music hits? Listen, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, subscribe to Stars Tube if you haven't already. We're your source for the real story behind every major celebrity moment. Second, smash that like button because this video took serious research. And third, turn on all notifications because when the next development drops, and it will drop soon, you're going to want to know immediately. We're not done with this story. Not even close. I'm tracking this story daily. The moment anything new breaks, a statement, leak footage, industry reactions, Stars 2 will have the full breakdown. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Can Nicki recover from this? Do you think this is genuine belief or strategic positioning? Can you separate the art from the artist? And if you made it this far, you're part of the Stars Tube family. Make it official, subscribe, like, and let me know in the comments what celebrity story we should investigate next. Because one thing is certain, we've never seen anything quite like this before. And how it ends will define more than just Nicki Minaj's career. It'll define how we think about celebrity, politics, and loyalty in the social media age. The story continues on Stars Tube. Stay tuned.